There's been a lot of talk lately about giving the average Social Security recipient a $2,400 Social Security increase. But just recently, the cost of living adjustment was announced, and it was 3.2%. That's like 25% of this $2,400 number. And so what's happening? Well, Bernie Sanders has proposed some legislation. Here's a copy of it. It's a 48-page bill, along with Senator Whitehouse, to make this $2,400 possible. So in this video, I'm going to explain what has to happen legislatively as well as financially for people to get this $2,400 increase. Let's get started. I want to begin today by talking about how Social Security benefits are calculated, meaning how do they arrive at this monthly benefit that you get deposited in your checking account or savings account on a monthly basis. Let's go through the formula. So first off, what happens is they take your top 35 years of earnings. So if you worked 40 years, they're going to take the top 35 years. If you worked 30 years, you're going to have some zeros for the other 5. So they take the top highest earnings we have for 35 years, and then they index that forward. Why? Because money you made 25 years ago needs to be put in current dollars. So they index that up. And so then that comes up with a large number. It could be $1 million, $2 million plus. Very large number because it's all your working wages for those 35 years. And then they divide that by 420 months. And that gives us a very important number, which is called the AIM, Average Index Monthly Earnings, right? And they take that average index monthly earnings, I'm going to give you an example here in just a second, of $3,000. Okay, some will be lower, some will be higher, but they take that average index monthly earnings and they apply that number to what are called bin points. Bin points. And these bin points are dollar amount and percentage amounts. And you'll see why the bin points are very important. And then what we come up after we've applied the bin points and the certain percentages, then we have what is called our primary insurance amount. And this is what we're eligible for at Social Security at what is called our full retirement age or our normal retirement age. Now, I can take Social Security before my full retirement age, but I take less. Basically 0.5% a month, 6% a year if I take before my full retirement age. If I wait and don't take it full retirement age, but I delay that, we get what's called delayed retirement credits. Now I can grow my account up to age 70, and I grow that at 0.67% a month, which is 8% a year. All right? And so what we're trying to arrive at is the primary insurance amount. It all begins, of course, with this average index monthly earnings applied to bin points. So let me explain how all of this works. All right, so we have in this example our $3,000 average index monthly earnings. We're going to look at the current system as how we would calculate our primary insurance amount today versus what is being proposed by Senator Sanders and Senator Whitehouse and others like them who are proposing a way to increase Social Security benefits. So let's look at the current system. If that was my aim, what would be my primary insurance amount, my check amount? Well, here's what they do. We take the $3,000 and we apply the very first bin point. That first bin point is 90% of this amount here, $1,174. And that bin point is fixed for everyone. What do I get of that $1,174? Notice I get 90% of that number, and that is $1,056. That is a real number. And then they take the difference between my first bin point and my $3,000 AIM, that difference, which is, in this example, $1,826. Again, that's not real dollars right now. That's just a calculation number. And now I get my second bin point is going to be applied to that, which is 32%. First bin point 90%, second bin point 32%. So I get 32% of that difference. And that is going to be $584. And this is a real dollar number. So my check is arrived at by these two percentages. So we take 1,056, 584, and that gives me a check of $1,640 that I'm going to get in Social Security. That's going to be deposited in my checking account or my savings account on a monthly basis. Now, again, if I take that early, I'm going to take a little less, 0.5% a month. If I take it later, I can grow that at 0.67%. All right, so that's the present system. Now, let's talk about what's being proposed by the senators. What they want to do first off is they want to change this first bin point dollar amount by increasing it by 22%. So 22% added to that would give us a bin point this year for 2024 of $1,432. What do I do? Well, presently I get 90%. They're proposing that we raise that 5%. So now we get 95% of that first bin point number, which would give us $1,360. $1,360. That is a real dollar amount. If in the present system, I only got 90% of that, so I got $1,056. So look where the increase is. A little over $300 there. Now the difference, of course, is going to be a little bit lower. And so the difference in this was $1,826. The difference in this one between my $3,000 and my first bin point that was increased is going to be $1,568. And again, that's not a real dollar amount, but we're going to apply the second bin point, which is not changing. It's going to stay at 32%. And that's going to go down a little bit because that'll be 501 because my base number was smaller. So my check is what? My first bin point, my second bin point added together, and I now get a check if this legislation were to pass this year for $1,861. You can see there's an increase of what? $221. And that's the way they're going to do it, by affecting the bin points and the percentages applied to those bin points. Hey, if you found this video helpful and if you want to see more Medicare information just like it, then go below, right below the video, and you can give us a thumbs up as well as subscribe to our channel. And every time I put a new video, which is about 2 every week, you'll be notified of that video, and others just like you who need this vital information will get it as well. Now let's look at how they're proposing to fund increased Social Security benefits. Now, when Senator Whitehouse put his legislation together, which is called the Medicare and Social Security Fair Share Act, he not only wanted to help Social Security, but also Medicare. The Medicare Hospital Trust Fund, they say, if not strengthened and improved upon, will be depleted in about 5 years. Social Security, about 10 years or so. And so it doesn't mean that no one would get benefit. It just means that they simply will only be paying a certain percentage. For Social Security to be 80% of those benefits. I think with Medicare Part A, I think it's about 70% of the benefit. But the point is it's reduced if those trust funds go to zero. All right? And so they need to really strengthen these trust funds so that they're going to have to be a reduction in benefits. So how are they going to do that? Of course, they're going to have to raise revenue to do that because we do one of two things. Either we cut benefits or if we're not going to cut benefits or raise them, we're going to have to raise revenue to cover those increased benefits. So again, here is the present system. Right now, Medicare is funded this way, primarily by earned income. This would be wages, net self-employment income. That is presently taxed at what? 2.90%. So if you are working for someone, you're paying 1.5% and the employer is matching that. So 2.9% of every single dollar that we're making is going in to fund the Medicare system. But notice people that are higher income based upon these standards called modified adjusted gross, this would be a single person files a single return. This would be a married couple that files a joint return. If they're above 200 or 250,000, now we have an additional tax applied to those dollar amounts above 250. So now we have what? We have a 3.80% Medicare tax on those dollar amounts. All right, so that's how Medicare is currently funded. Now, you're going to notice here when it comes to investment income, this is what's referred to as net investment income. If I stay with my net investment income below $200,000, there is no Medicare tax whatsoever. But those people that are, again, single filing a single return, married filing a joint return, any net investment income above $250,000, then we're going to have an additional tax added to that, which is 3.8%. And you can see that's exactly where this falls in. Now, this is not necessarily designated for Medicare tax, but again, it goes into general revenue, so it is used for Medicare purposes. All right, now let's talk about what's proposed by this legislation that would need to pass in order to strengthen these trust funds. So now we have a third bracket being introduced legislatively of 1.20%, and that would only affect just a small small minority of the population. But it would, again, it would be single filers that are above 400, married filing a joint return above 500,000. They would pay an additional 1.20%. So before theirs was capped at 3.8. Now with this additional money above that, now we have a top bracket of 5% being proposed for Medicare taxes. Now, when it comes to investment income, again, above the 200, 250, we only had 3.8%. Now what are they proposing? To add anyone that gets above the 400 or above the 500 back over to these brackets. Now they're saying we're again going to add an additional 1.20%. So that means anyone above the 400 or 500 on net investment income is going to again pay that full Medicare tax of 5%. But notice what happens. What does this kind of additional tax generate? You'll see $15.9 billion on this one just for wages, earned income, and then $6.5 billion coming in from taxes for that purpose there. So what are we talking here? We're talking $22.4 billion additional coming in to Medicare on an annual basis. Now let's look at the Social Security proposal. Hey, if you come to a place where you know you're going to have to make some Medicare decisions pretty soon, the best way to do that is to click up here in this right-hand corner, and you'll have an opportunity to be able to book a call with one of our Medicare guides. All the guides around here I have personally trained, and they truly are professional. They'll answer your questions, and they'll show you different Medicare options to make sure that you're confident in the decision that you make. Now, as we talk about taxes on Social Security, the present system is this. Again, this is all earned income, wages, net self-employment income. We pay 12.40% of every dollar that we're making is going into the Social Security system. Again, that would be 6.2% paid by us and 6.2% matched then by the employer. But notice that 12.40 has an income cap, a limit on the taxes. And this year, for 2024, that's going to be $168,600. In 2023, actually, I'm shooting this video in 2023. This reads $160,200. So it went up to $168,600 for 2024. All right, so earned income. Now, investment income, again, not at all subject to Social Security taxes. And so, again, if you have that net investment income, we knew that Medicare taxes were paid to 3.8%, but nothing for Social Security. All right, so again, the Fair Share Act is proposing this. When it comes to earned income, what they want to do, notice they're going to create another bracket, but that bracket would only be for people that make $400,000 in earned income and above. All right, and that would be a full Social Security tax, which would be 12.40%. So as you look at these numbers, what you're going to notice is that anything between that maximum up to the 400,000 is still non-taxable. So again, this is just going to affect a very small percentage of the people, very wealthy people, are going to be paying a full Social Security. All right, now watch. On the investment side, they're also going to propose this, that anything above the 400,000 for a single filer, anything above 500,000 when it comes just to net investment income is now going to be taxed at a full Social Security amount, again, of 12.4%. And so, again, anything below that is not going to change whatsoever. But above that, we'll see this new tax. And so you can see what's happening. Look at this, $133.8 and $58.6 billion. So we're talking, what, $192 billion that is going to come into the Social Security system through these new taxes. And then what's the purpose? It is to expand the benefits for many, but then extend the solvency of the Social Security Trust Fund. All right, so these are the things that are happening. I don't know where this is going to land. But I know there's a lot of discussion. I know there's a great need, especially when it comes to Social Security, because frankly, we know that about half of all people today have no retirement savings whatsoever. 20% have less than $15,000 in retirement savings. So it's very important to make sure that we keep the Social Security system very, very strong. And that's why they're proposing these changes. And time will tell us where this lands. But I hope those of you that are on Social Security are going to see some increases that are really substantial in the future.